Yeah. So I draw. Ah, my friends, what card have I here?
Ace of spades.
Ha! A king with a head!
Where is our king's head, though?
Ha! Off, and good riddance to it. That
So
man of blood.
I fought for the Parliament throughout the war, but I cannot say that cutting the king's head off was a good move.
Ah, what else was to be done with him? He
Well,
would not move.
I think, sir, that 'tis Cromwell's fault. He manipulated the Parliament, and the army wished the king to be dead. 'Tis the army's fault.
Aye.
the army may be at fault in this, they may not. But the army has still not been paid, sir. And no man who has served faithfully can stand by and do nothing when his wages are 2-3 years in arrears.
Indeed, sir, the country has been devastated by the armies of both sides, ravaging through the countryside because they have not been paid, killing beasts for food, taking free quarter. We must disband the army, sir.
The army will not disband until it is paid in full.
Aye,
And whether that is right or wrong matters not, because that is what the army have decided. And the army is the power in the land.
Are you suggesting we take all the estates from the royalist supporters and hand them to the army?
Sir, I am not seeking to give a solution. I am merely stating that this is the problem. And until this problem is resolved, the army will not disband. Nor, to be honest, do I think it should do. These are the men who have fought the war. They should be paid their just deserts.
For as a constable's man, at least while the army stays, they have their officers. What think you if a company should come to us here and we have but 3 beadles and the constable's men to resist them? We should be as Leicester.
It is a hard job.
Indeed.
It is a hard job to be an officer in the
I
Parliament
remember
army.
St. George's Day, St. George's Field, when the diggers had no land, no money, they took the free public land and said this land is for everybody's use. And guess who sent the soldiers and troopers to drive them off? 'Twas Oliver Cromwell. And they were the poor folk with nothing.
But the poor folk with nothing have never been the ones who have been allowed to set the policy.
True.
The king has been executed, the king is no more. But somebody must rule.
So who is the new king?
Well, you obviously have your view on that, sir, and I do not disagree with you.
Cromwell, perhaps Cromwell,
Cromwell and
himself.
Cromwell and the Parliament must find a solution to this problem. They have taken the power, they have removed both the power and the life of the king. It is now up to them to solve the problems that they have in large part brought upon themselves.
Indeed, sir, indeed. Cromwell and his cronies must make shift to put together the money that is required before they have rebellion amongst their own troops.
They already have rebellion among their own troops in many ways. The troops will not do what they are ordered. The troops have been ordered to disband. They will not. The troops have been ordered to go to Ireland. They will not. The troops have been ordered to go to Jamaica, and they will not. And basically the troops will
tis
not...
this God's judgment on what we have done to the king.
Who knows, sir, but it is the countries who is paying the penalties for this.
Indeed.
And each week the troops do accrue more arrears. It is not even as if they are being paid to date, let alone their back pay.
Cannot they go back to their homes?
They all fear that if they return to their homes, they will never get the money they are owed. And who can blame them for that? They put their lives at risk for the duration of the war, and they've not yet been paid. They were promised pay, and in many cases they've not even achieved the quarters and the feeding they were promised, let alone the pay.
The royalist troops at the end of the war were promised if they disbanded in good order and handed in their weapons, they would receive their arrears of pay once they had dispersed to their homes. And self-evidently did that occur. The Parliament forces, the new model army, they are not blind, they are not stupid.
But why dost thou have a professional army? We've never had a professional paid army before.
We have it because it was brought about to beat the king's forces.
So you're
For
blaming
right
the king,
or for wrong.
the late king.
In some ways, yes, I do. But we have to deal with the situation as it is now. Trying to apportion blame on people who are dead and gone is fruitless, sir.
Indeed.
However right it may be.
However right or wrong it may be. I fought for the Parliament cause. I shed blood for the Parliament cause. But now the Parliament has taken this responsibility on itself. Oliver Cromwell has taken this responsibility among himself. He must be the one who is responsible for settling the problems that remain.
But he is not doing so.
No, he is not.
I fear that we will only have true peace in this land when the king enjoys his own again. Prince Charles, in exile. Surely he can come back and work with the Parliament. The Parliament fought against the king.
The Parliament, nor Cromwell, nor Charles seems to wish that.
Indeed.
Charles wishes for victory. He wishes for his former position restored and enhanced.
And meantime, there are the so-called royal nephews pursuing their piracy out in the west.
Is that what Cromwell's soldiers will do if they are not paid, in a sense?
Well, they still think to levy war, do they not? If there were but a war, we could send the soldiers to it.
I do not know how.
Should we say?
I do not know how this will be solved, sirs, and I fear that debate among ourselves will bring it no closer.
Indeed, sir.
Indeed.
Right, this kind of debate went on for the next 14 years at least. Cromwell died, his son Richard took over. We had 2 more civil wars in between. Yeah, double down dick. And George Monk, Duke of Albemarle, brought back Charles II to replace his father. People had had enough of Cromwell's England. No theatres, prayers, no swearing, no playing cards, no fun. So they brought back Charles II, who was a fun-loving king. Now, he went out now to get revenge on all those people who signed his father's certificate for execution. He went as far as America to bring these people back. He executed many of those, some from local areas like Sir Alexander Carewe's brother John. He was executed. He was brought back from the Low Countries, I believe, on a promise that he wouldn't be touched. They brought him back. He was hung, drawn and quartered. Charles II got his revenge. They even had
this would create more divisions.
Yeah, well, he even dug up Cromwell's body. And what happened? Before the Civil War, there were no political parties. They were all MPs. The Civil War, the parliamentarians and the Cavaliers came down to us through history as the Conservatives, people might disagree with this, and the parliamentarians came down to be the Labour Party, which they still act as they did in the Civil War. Nobody's happy with the situation. No? Oh.
Mere howling democracy, it disgusts us
Yes,
all.
all these people downing tools and stopping work and expecting to be paid and have their families supported by the state.
Well, it's not just that. The people who direct the state should have a stake in it. There should be people of property who understand what it is to lose as a result of the political machinations of their
But
betters.
the people of property, sir, are gaining, and the people at the bottom end are getting poorer.
Indeed, sir.